Hi, I'm Jason, and this is the Cultural Breakdown. I'm not going to be one of those people who acts like everything Marvel used to make is great and everything that they're making now is terrible. Well, first of all, I don't think anyone really claims that anyway. But the problem with what they're doing now is before, when they would make something, I would assume it was at least worth watching, whereas now it's kind of reversed. I mean, I need to hear that it's decent before I'm willing to check it out. And I think something like this, Echo, is a big issue with that. Because first of all, Echo is a side character from a show that people didn't really care for, and now we're getting a spinoff because why? I mean, I guess they had the character and decided, let's just do it. I mean, some people are saying it's because they have an agenda to push or whatever. I mean, I'm not going to go so far, but I mean, it really is a weird step to have a character like this get her own show, but whatever. But we got this rumor right here that says they plan to give her the Batgirl treatment, as in like cancel the show after it was produced because it was bad, but because of the Writers Guild strike that they're going to continue with it. And the reason being, with the Writers Guild strike, they're not allowed to produce any new stuff, but things that are already written in production, they can produce it now. And as a result of the Writers Guild strike, they don't have a lot of stuff in the pipeline that was already like being produced, so they're just trying to fall back on what they have in order to like fill space up on their release schedule in the meantime. And that kind of coincides with this article from a couple months ago where they're saying it was such a mess that Kevin Feige thought it was unreleasable, and so they had to reshoot the whole thing or redo the whole thing. So yeah, I mean, this has been in production for quite a while. And then we got this thing from Deadline a couple months ago where they're talking about just releasing it all at once onto their Disney Plus platform, which is kind of against their model of releasing it week by week. And usually, if you're going to go against your model like that to release it all at once, that means you're just kind of dumping it off there and hoping that people don't notice, because you know it's bad, but it's like, we got to release something, so let's just put this out there, especially if it's more or less done and you have no other option of stuff that you can release. But jumping back to this article, this is coming from Chris Brewster, who is a stunt performer for Marvel. He's doubled as Chris Evans and Charlie Cox for Captain America and Daredevil. And he's also worked as a stunt performer and coordinator for these other Marvel projects. So he's been in the studio for a while. And he was talking about working on Daredevil for Netflix, because a lot of people don't realize this. It was part of the MCU, but Netflix more or less had the rights to him, or not the rights. They had kind of free reign to do what they wanted with the character. And as a result, the show was a lot more darker and grittier and grounded than anything else that was happening in the MCU, even if they would reference the MCU as a whole. Well, now that Disney Plus is going to be releasing it, they don't want to have that, because, I mean, you can't have Vincent D'Onofrio's Kingpin decapitating someone with the car door. I mean, because that really wouldn't fly on Disney Plus. So they kind of have to ground it or like water it down in order for it to fit. But it's not only that. A lot of it also comes down to just the tone itself, because Chris Brewster was talking about just like the casting was perfect, the tone was perfect, the fighting was very visceral, but that's not really what they do now, because the coordinate and choreograph a fight scene, it takes a lot of effort, not to mention when you're doing real stunts. But he's saying a lot of it now, they're just trying to resort to CGI stuff, and he says it looks a little fake when you're using it too much instead of just to enhance certain things, which I personally agree with. You need to have some type of weight to a person in order for them to actually look realistic, and not just have a CGI character. But this isn't a CGI versus practical debate, really. The fact is, they're doing this not for any like stylistic approach or anything. They're doing it because it's just quicker and cheaper for them to do it this way. And I think that's kind of sad that that's the approach they're taking. And that's kind of what they're doing with the way Echo is now, because they're not doing this because they think it's good. They're not putting out stuff that they think like, we're really proud of this and we want the world to see it. They're putting out stuff because they want to put out stuff. I mean, if you look at the past with the MCU, with their all their movies and their shows and things like that, they put out a lot of content. But when you compare that to what's happening since the end of Endgame, it's pretty much like the same amount of content, but like in twice or in half the time, which is just astronomical. And it goes to show that they're not taking the time to really think about it. I mean, it's just put something out there. If people like it, great. If they don't like it, so what? We'll move on to the next thing. But unfortunately for them, I don't think this is a model that they can continue on too much longer, because people are getting tired of it, and you're seeing that in the box office. I mean, you get the occasional hit like Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, but things like that can't prop them up forever. And if you look at Disney as a whole, they've been losing money hand over fist at the box office this last year. I mean, I think they're going to be topping $1 billion loss pretty soon, with especially with the new Indiana Jones bombing. So they can't really keep this up. I'm hoping they'll start taking a note from this, looking at the Writers Guild strike and also looking at their box office returns, and start to evaluate like, okay, we need to be a little bit more cautious on what we're approving and not just approve everything. We have seen them cancel some of the announced stuff that they've had so far. So I think they really should take a weed whacker to their upcoming slate of Marvel projects and really like dial it in on what they want to do, and don't just have like everything. Like, we don't need an Echo, we don't need an Agatha. I mean, there's just so many things that are been announced that it's like I don't think are needed. And just stick to the core characters and just stick to trying to produce good stories. But that also comes with hiring competent directors, and that's another issue altogether. But let me know what you think in the comments. I mean, are you actually excited about Marvel stuff? Do you still go and see it even reluctantly? Let me know what you think. And if you like this video, click the like button, share the video out there, and subscribe to the channel if you want to stay up to date with the latest news. Thank you.